When people think about sleep difficulties, the first thought that usually comes to mind is difficulty falling asleep. However, research shows that roughly 35% of adults report waking up during the middle of the night at least 3 times a week and then struggle to fall back asleep. So clearly, a plan is needed ahead of time. And the keywords here are ahead of time. Chances are good that the things you're doing before you go to bed that negatively impact your ability to stay asleep. So let's start with the preparation phase before you go to bed, and then proceed to what to do if you wake up early after falling asleep. For my first step, I encourage you to watch the last video I made about sleep called 6 Steps to Help You Fall Asleep Before You Get into Bed. In this video, I go over how to prepare the mind, body, and bedroom for sleep. And when it comes to falling back to sleep after waking, same rules still apply. For my second step, be aware of what you consume before you go to bed. Plenty of research shows that caffeine and alcohol interfere with the ability to both fall asleep and stay asleep. And having said that, we're all neurobiologically different, and some people appear to be minimally impacted by alcohol or caffeine consumption. However, I'd encourage you to err on the side of caution and avoid both, especially if you view being asleep on a continuum where it ranges from being completely awake to being in the deepest level of sleep. If either alcohol or caffeine moves the needle just enough to help rouse you from a deeper level of sleep, it's hardly worth using either substance before bed if you want an uninterrupted night of sleep. While we're on the topic of liquids, it also makes sense to limit those as well. If you have a bladder like a camel, this may not impact you, but for everyone else, especially for those who are aging or certainly happen to have a prostate, the less liquid of any kind, the better. Third, speaking of aging, melatonin, which is naturally occurring and helps to send us off to sleep by gradually shutting down the reticular activating system in the brain, begins to decline noticeably by about age 40. And by age 90, melatonin levels are less than 20% of what they once were at age 25. And as you age, supplementing with melatonin may help you to fall asleep, stay asleep, and experience an overall improved quality of sleep. So it could be helpful to consider supplementing with melatonin about 1 hour before bed. For my fourth step, I encourage you to have your magnesium levels checked. Research shows that having a magnesium deficiency can interfere with your ability to not only stay asleep, but fall into deeper levels of sleep. And if you're currently struggling with stress and worry, the main stress hormone in the body, cortisol, will likely depress your magnesium levels even further. So it would be wise to have your magnesium levels checked. If they're low, supplementing with a magnesium supplement is an easy fix. Now at this point, you've done quite a bit to help fall asleep and stay asleep for as long as possible. But what if you're still waking up early or waking up multiple times throughout the night? What do you do? For the next step, I encourage you to avoid looking at the time when this happens. If you do, the next thing that will follow is mental math, as you start to calculate how much sleep you can get if you fall asleep that instant. And doing this just invites a jolt of stress, which adds further pressure to falling asleep again. And whether you check the time or not, your alarm still works just the same. Step 6. Now that you're somewhat awake, you become more aware about what you're thinking, unless you happen to be a Buddhist monk and you've developed a tremendous ability to filter out all thoughts and focus solely on relaxation. But for the rest of us, it's important to have a pre-planned topic that you can focus on that's interesting but not stressful to think about while you attempt to fall back asleep. Otherwise, you're probably going to start worrying or going over the to-dos that need to happen once you wake up for the day. You want to avoid stress and worry in bed at all costs, as the main goal for being in bed should be to associate bed with relaxation or a good time, although that last point's beyond the scope of this video. And remember, just because you don't fall into a deep level of sleep right away, there's still a benefit to being in an earlier stage of sleep. For step 7, if you've yet to fall into a deeper level of sleep after what feels like 30 minutes or so, get up briefly if you're becoming frustrated. The goal at this point isn't to give in to looking at your phone or waking up to start your day, but rather to interrupt the pattern of being unable to fall into a deeper level of sleep. If you don't feel drowsy, I suggest getting a small sip of water or even relocating to a different area to sleep, such as a spare bedroom. Sometimes, simply attempting to fall asleep somewhere else where your brain isn't used to struggling to sleep can also be helpful. For my 8th step, avoid catastrophizing if you're struggling to get back into a deep level of sleep. While it's true that being sleep deprived doesn't feel good, chances are this isn't your first rodeo when it comes to coping with that feeling. You'll be able to function adequately for the upcoming day. Just remember to avoid napping and go to bed at the same time the following evening. And one quick final bonus tip. Consider engaging in 10 minutes of mindfulness in the morning if you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep the night before. A recent study by Dr. Charles Murnieks and colleagues found that 10 minutes of mindfulness can help compensate for 44 minutes of lost sleep. So I hope you found these steps helpful in your pursuit to get a better night's sleep. If you need help implementing these steps, don't hesitate to contact us at Sullivan Associates Clinical Psychology. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.